So, what if I told you Manuel Ugarte is one of the most dominant tackling defensive midfielders in world football? Well, you may already know that. What if I told you there are also some things that you need to know about his game that you might not? Watch this to understand exactly why Manchester United want to sign Ugarte and why the club think he might be an ideal person to complete the midfield alongside Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes. Breakout season at Sporting. Before we talk about where Ugarte might end up, let's explore where he's been. It's 2022, the Champions League group stage is underway, and Sporting Lisbon has a wrecking ball in midfield. By the end of that season, the numbers showed that Ugarte had made more tackles than any player in the entire competition. Think about that. We're talking about a tournament featuring the likes of Rodri, Fabinho, and Goretzka, and this teenage midfielder made more tackles than any of them. Oh, and by the way, he only played the group stage. Ugarte also dominated in this area domestically. In the Primera Liga that season, he had more successful tackles than anyone else, more possessions won in the middle than anyone else, and more tackles and interceptions combined per 90 than any other player in Europe's top 7 leagues. It's safe to say he was a monster out of possession, but what about with the ball at his feet? During his time at Sporting, Ugarte proved to be one of the tidiest short passers in Europe. We're not talking about simple 5-yard passes here. Ugarte was consistently delivering 50 short to medium passes per 90, a pass every 2 minutes. And here's the kicker. He was completing these passes with staggering accuracy. That's the kind of metronomic consistency that can manage the tempo of a game. Now, while Ugarte's short and medium passing was top level, his progressive passing wasn't anywhere near that same level. And this raises a crucial question. What kind of number 6 are Manchester United looking for? Are they in need of a defensive wall who can recycle possession, or do they need somebody who can spray long balls across the field and break the lines with his passing? Because Ugarte, I don't think, can be both. At Sporting, Ugarte showed he's an excellent destroyer in the middle of the park, a phenomenal defender with composure and intelligence on the ball, but one who keeps things simple. He'd be an ideal partner for a progressive passing deep-lying playmaker. Season at PSG. Before we think about what could be, we need to take a look at some facts. Ugarte's excellent season for Sporting earned him a big move to PSG. How did he adapt to that new league? I'll tell you the strengths he showed before we dive into the weaknesses of his game and the questions that United fans should rightly be asking about signing him. We'll talk about tackling again first. At PSG, Ugarte averaged 4.1 tackles per 90. That puts him in the 99th percentile among midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues. The 99th percentile, that's not just good, that's not even elite, he's basically the best. He also contested more defensive duels per 90 than any other player in Europe's top 7 leagues. Perhaps even more impressive than his tackling stats, Ugarte makes 8 recoveries per game. His ability to win second balls is remarkable, and in a league as physically demanding as the Premier League, where second balls can often decide a game, that could well be a difference maker. That being said, Ugarte isn't just about defending. He is actually a strong ball carrier, averaging 57 carries per 90. Crucially, he's in the 83rd percentile for total carrying distance. Why is this important? Because in the modern game, the ability to transition quickly from defense to attack is crucial. Ugarte doesn't just win the ball, he can take it up the pitch. And this ability to progress the ball forward could be useful for a United team looking for a dynamic attacking style of play. Imagine Ugarte winning the ball deep in midfield and then driving it forward for Rashford or Garnacho. It's the kind of transition play that United fans love. Ugarte has also shown a strong range of medium passing. At PSG, he completed 95.4% of his 30 mid-range passes per 90. For a team wanting to move the ball around in order to maintain possession under pressure, that's an asset. Strengths. We've covered the stats here, but numbers only tell part of the story. What about his style of play? What strengths could he bring to Old Trafford? He is an aggressive midfielder, always looking to get stuck into tackles. He uses his speed to close down players before quickly attempting to win the ball. It makes him an excellent fit for teams that want to press and counter-press, as long as his timing is right. His speed and tackling ability also mean he's good at defending against transitions. But he is intelligent as well. He positions himself well and shows good anticipation. In fact, he ranks in the 96th percentile for interceptions. Of course, he needs to be spot on for United. If he's going to go in aggressively, he has to make the tackle, because if he doesn't, that will leave space behind. It depends on whether you want somebody who's proactively aggressive with his tackles or somebody who just covers the space. And I'll be honest, we need to get a blend of that, because Casemiro last season just lunged in, missed, and United were exposed. In terms of covering the space, Ugarte is very good at it. He's got a high work rate, good speed, and a very strong engine. It allows him to cover for teammates who get caught out of position. That anticipation and aggression can often lead to him snuffing out transitions. Ugarte could provide the sort of midfield security that Bruno and Maino need. In possession, Ugarte's strengths lie in his short passing game. He likes to keep things simple, keep the ball moving, recycling possession with a high level of security. He's not really going to be a creative passer, far from it. He's safe and doesn't often look to make line-breaking passes in the same way Lisandro Martinez does. That's not his game. But he is capable of making an accurate switch if he needs to. He's not really a progressive passer in any way, shape, or form, but he is a good ball carrier, and that could be important. Weaknesses. But everybody has weaknesses, and Ugarte is no exception. In terms of his frame, he's on the smaller side for a defensive midfielder. That could lead to him being overpowered in duels in the Premier League, which is a problem. But League One is known for its physicality, and there's no doubt he'd have to adapt to the Premier League, like every player does. He can be overeager when pressing, like I said, so when he misses a tackle, it can leave space. I think that needs to be addressed at United. They need to coach that, not out of him, but make him a little bit more patient to cover the space rather than the player. Fortunately, Ugarte has great athleticism, so he can get away with that far more than Casemiro could in the last couple of seasons. But against top-level opposition, that would be exploited. In possession, Ugarte struggles when receiving the ball with his back to goal, and his scanning can be a bit inconsistent. That can lead to him getting caught on the ball with no idea of what's happening around him, and that's a dangerous prospect. He needs to improve on that if he's to perform effectively as a single pivot in the Premier League. He'll need to improve that, although I hope he plays alongside Kobbie Mainoo a bit more. I don't want a single midfielder. Does Ugarte fit United's needs? The question remains, is Ugarte the missing piece to United's midfield puzzle? Could his tackling prowess, ball retention skills, energy, and engine be a valuable asset to United's midfield? I think so. And to answer this fully, let's do one more thing. Let's take a look at this interesting bit of data from DataMB on Twitter to find out exactly what it is United's midfield needs. DataMB looked at how Kobbie and Bruno measure up as a pair in some pertinent metrics. This tells us that the area United needs to improve in is defensive actions and pass accuracy. To find the ideal partner for Kobbie and Bruno, DataMB refined his search based on key metrics from last season, and these are the results. Florentino Luis is a result that certainly makes sense. But this is where it gets really interesting, because DataMB does the same search but uses the season before at Sporting, and there is only one result. And you guessed it, Ugarte. As shocking as it is to find out, United seem to know what they're doing. He ticks a lot of boxes, certainly on the data side of things. His tackling and interception stats are elite. He can bring the ball forward, carry it forward, and his short and medium-range passing, while not progressive, is very safe and secure. There are concerns that his aerial ability might get exploited, and his tendency to be drawn out of position would need to be coached out of him. And while his passing is secure, as I said, it's not massively progressive. However, there are a lot of strengths to his game. And if Manchester United could maybe secure a deal with PSG to bring him on loan with an option, imagine that. Conclusion. Ugarte is a player with a lot of positives. He brings a blend of defensive tenacity, composed play, and energy. His ability to win the ball, carry it forward, and recycle possession could fill a gap in United's squad. However, his limitations in progressive passing, lack of height, and moments of overeager defending will need to be worked on for him to succeed in the Premier League. Time will tell if he can become the player United need to solidify their midfield for years to come.